Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today, I want to discuss a subject that is bound to come up as we go into this coming season, and some are already talking about it now. It's a bad habit that I feel has actually crept into professional basketball, and it's a detriment to both the New York Knicks and professional basketball, and that is the subject of tanking. First, let's discuss what is tanking. Tanking is basically when a team, let me go back for a second to talk about tanking. The NBA has set up the draft process so that the worst teams, the teams with the worst records, get the bigger opportunities to draft first or near the top of the draft order. And the reason for that is because the logic is that the better players, that those players that are not professional, that are better players, will be drafted first or drafted earlier, so that the worst teams have opportunity to add players to their teams that will help them in the process. No, not use that word, but that will help them in development so that they will not for long be among the worst teams. Okay. So that the worst teams have an opportunity to get better. That's the object. So that the teams with the worst records get the better talent and have opportunity to get better. Okay. So what happened in that scenario is some teams, and Philadelphia 76ers are the most recent example, purposely put their worst team on the floor. Basically purposely losing. Putting themselves in a position to lose. So that they will have the higher opportunity, being among the worst teams, of getting a talented player in the draft, more talented than the rest of the teams, because the best players get drafted first. Now, if you look at it historically, it's mixed results. So the Philadelphia 76ers were losing for about 4 or 5 straight seasons. And they got all kind of number one picks. They got Nerlens Noel. They got Jael Okafor. They got, of course, Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, and others. And they end up really with, of all that they had, and I'm not naming all of the draft picks they got, but they end up really with Embiid and Simmons out of all of their shots at the tanking and at the lottery. And now even there's rumors of breaking up Simmons and Embiid because apparently it didn't work out too well. So let's talk about that with regard to the Knicks. I'm already hearing people talking about let's not win too many games. We want to make sure we get a good draft pick next year. You know, the Miami Heat is in the finals, and they never tank. They play to win every year. They play to win, and they never tank. They never get the top 10 draft picks, and yet they get good players. Again, what we're seeing this year, although they're in the finals this year, in terms of their team is not unusual. They have undrafted players. They have players drafted in the mid-first round, late first round. They got players that came in the second round. And they put together a team. They have a system. They have an organization that develops players that they know what to be expected of them coming to the Miami Heat. And they never tank. The Dallas Mavericks never tank. And they're always in the playoff conversation. Okay? Play to win. It's embarrassing, and it's really a disservice, a dishonor to the game. To tank, it's a dishonor to the game. Because you're not competing to win. You're competing to lose. I mean, how does that sound? Competing to lose. That's a dishonor to the game. Play to win. I do not want my Knicks to play to lose. I want my Knicks to play to win. If it means we win 30 games, okay, we won 30 games. We did the best we could. If it means we won 50 games because we didn't realize we was going to be that good and we won 50 games and we're at the bottom of the draft, 20 something, fine. Get the best player you can at that number. Because as we know also, if you look at the top 25 players, I'm guaranteeing you at least half of them were not even in the top 10 picks of the lottery. And then, of course, in lotteries, every single year, there's busts. Some players are busts because they get hurt, like a Johnny Flynn, who hurt his hip in his second year and ruined the rest of his career. Some players are busts because they're just not that good to beat from Connecticut. Okay. Some players' games are outdated and just don't make it in the modern NBA. Jahlil Okafor. So there's reasons, lots of reasons that players bust. And then there's players that Bam Adebayo or Tyler Herro drafted in the middle of the first round that are starring on a team that's in the finals. Or Kawhi Leonard drafted late first round. Or even a Joker drafted second round. That is MVP candidates. So play to win. Do not play to tank. Do not play to lose. It's a bad look. It hurts the morale of your team. And it just disrespects the game. To me, that's what it really does. It disrespects the game. It disrespects the game of basketball. Play to win. Play the best ball you can with the players you have. I want the Knicks to play the young players because I want to see what we have. We use this year as development, but I want to win as many games as I can. And I'm glad that Tom Thibodeau is coaching because he is known to have his teams overperform and get the best out of his players. Don't think about, because Cade Cunningham and Jalen Green and guys like that are going to be at the top of the lottery next year, we got to lose and see. New Orleans didn't tank when they got the number one pick and got Zion. Minnesota didn't tank when they just got the number one pick. They didn't tank. They were bad because they were just bad, but they didn't tank. They were trying to win their ball games. Okay. When the Knicks tanked, I think we won 17 games one year and we ended up picking 4th or 8th. Try to win the games. Try to win every game. Okay. And yes, use your young players because you want them to get better. That's how you get better. You play your young players. Let them play through their mistakes. You develop them properly and you try to win every game. Okay. Now in doing so, yeah, you may lose a lot of games. Okay. And you're going to end up in the lottery, but eventually you end up being the Miami Heat. You end up in the finals. Okay. Milwaukee did not tank when they drafted Giannis Antetokounmpo late in the first round at age 19. They did not tank. And here they are. Okay. Boston did not tank. They suckered the Nets and got a whole bunch of draft picks and turned those picks into what you see. They did not tank. Okay. The Nets gave away all their picks and did not tank. Drafted Kenny Atkinson, got players off the scrap heap like Joe Harris and Spencer Dinwiddie, turned them into players. They got players late in the first round, like the center Jared, I forgot his name, Jarrett, and he's good. They got overseas players like Karutz. They did not tank. And they made the playoffs. They eventually ended up, before they even talk about Durant and Kyrie Irving, they made the playoffs. Okay, so let's stop this whole tank stuff. It's like I said, man, if you love the game, if you really love the game, you don't want to tank. You want to win. Okay? Because again, tanking disrespects the game. To me, that's the number one thing. It just disrespects the game. Win the game. Win as many games as you can. Play to win. And I'm glad, again, we got a coach that's going to do that. You're not going to see Tom Thibodeau tanking. You just not. He's going to play to win every single game. He's going to be all over the rest, all over his player, trying to win. That's what you want. All right? Shalom.